At the end of the talk last week, Andrew started talking about his hunger for fulfillment in his career. One of the things I love about your hunger is how full-bodied it is. It's such a complete, overwhelming source of drive and energy. And at this moment in time, it's experiencing some frustration, which I don't think is unique to you in the world. One of the things that is relatively unique to you is the amount of hunger, is the dynamic of it, which serves you not only in the career, but in all the sectors of your life, and which I wish everybody had, honestly. It's an extraordinarily dynamic source of movement in life. Toward the end of that talk, Michelle came up with a word that has been in my mind all week long, which is called longing. And I really have been thinking about it the entire week, because it's at the core of so much human experience. This often unnamed, sometimes very well named, idea that Buddha called desire. This driving force in human experience. Desire. The wanting of something, or of many things. But on a certain level, people say love makes the world go around. Really, in a way, it's desire makes the world go around. Sometimes love filters into that. But desire is at the core of human striving. In a way, it builds life, it constructs the universe, and is a very necessary ingredient in this manifested realm of existence. It's also the source of enormous pain, because it is rarely completely satisfied. No matter how much you get as a result of your desire, mostly you come up empty. And the reason you come up empty, in the broader sense, is that no matter what you get, it is taken away. And there's a sense of betrayal in that. You work so hard to get something, and then everything is taken away at the end. Everything. And yet desire is not a bad thing. The problem with desire is the fantasyland aspect of it. That it will give you what you're looking for, or in some cases, everything you're looking for. And it really doesn't do that. Desire satisfied gives you something. You're thirsty, you have a drink of water, you're satisfied. Pretty easy. You want another breath? You just go, but clearly it doesn't satisfy for long. Because right after you've had one breath, you want another one. and another and another and another. Water, you can go so many hours without wanting more, but it comes. Turn on the faucet. Satisfied. Of course, there are extreme stories. You're in the desert and you want water, it's not there. You know, you don't want to talk about the ones where you can't get air because those are pretty traumatic for people. But there are a lot of people with asthma who know exactly how powerful that desire can be. You know, you have desires to meet the perfect partner in life. You know, and many of us somewhat pull that off. But a lot of people struggle with that. And even when you marry the perfect partner, or you find the perfect partner, or even don't marry, just be together. You'll start to see things that aren't quite perfect. And then you make accommodations in yourself. Desire for the big stuff, let's call it, to be at the top of the heap of some profession. Well, there's no way you can just have that. There's no way life just delivers that. You begin by building and building and building toward it. And let's say you've set your sights on being President of the United States. Well, we've all watched how that plays out. It's a really interesting drama because only one person gets it every 4 years. And people who've dreamt their whole life of having that attainment, most of them will not get it. They just will not have it. So here we have this incredible frustration. Most people can't have the big stuff, the big dream. It's just not available. And yet we have this huge longing for it. Does that mean you don't strive for it? I mean, Rudy, who was a real pragmatist and who really understood human life, knew that our growth as a human being, as a spiritual being, depended on what we experience in the drive of being human. What daily life is about. Daily life is about energy. It's about consuming energy. It's about transmuting energy. It's about taking in the raw stuff of life and turning it into energy, turning it into love, turning it into art, turning it into work, commerce, whatever it is. You take the raw energy and you transmute it into something greater. The true alchemy of life. Taking the stuff that you are given, whatever that may be, and turning it into something worthy. That's real life. And that's incredibly hard work. Incredibly hard. And to get the real stuff that you want is build and build and build and work and work and work. And the byproduct of all that may be the attainment of something, but more importantly, it's the breaking down and the transformation of you in the process. You grow. You take in the raw materials, you go through all of the various processes of dealing with that stuff, and you become something either much greater, or you become overwhelmed by it. Or just so caught up in the system, you get broken down, and there's, in your sense of things, nothing left. You know, you give yourself over to a life of being a factory worker. And it's, you know, the day to day to day to day to day, and it looks like it's the worst repetitive, dull job in the world. Well, it can be. I've met factory workers who are among the happiest people I have ever met in my life. They can't wait to get to work, to be with their friends on the assembly line. They love being at lunch together. They go out in the evening together. They have a ball. One woman I know who did that her whole life, was one of the most joyous people I've ever known. She was not destroyed by that. She was enlivened by it. So in a way, it's kind of up to you how you deal with your stuff, how you deal with your various longings. I was in a meeting once with Spielberg. He came in late, and he said, "Oh, sorry I'm late. I just had the worst sleep." He said, "I had the worst dreams. I didn't have any money, and I couldn't put my kids through school." And I went, "Stephen, what do you have to do in life to get past that kind of disturbance?" And I had the same thing. It was so funny with Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. I was doing a movie with Nicole, and she came in with this story. I don't know if I should be telling tales out of school, but she described herself sitting on the toilet and Tom on the edge of the tub, and he was completely worried about his movie, The Firm, and whether it would do well and what it would do to his career. This is not the beginning of his career. This is way into his career. Why is he sitting there worrying about it? What buys us out of that condition? Nothing. It's the human condition. We are all struggling with this thing that is never satisfied, that always wants more, that always worries about what is, and never feels content or at peace. So along comes this idea of meditation, of sitting still, of letting go, of surrender. And if you can find this practice, and most people find it because they are so troubled by and disturbed by their daily experience, and they come looking for the thing that will give them, if you will, the aspirin without taking aspirin, or the Valium without taking Valium, whatever it is, the thing that you're looking for that you don't have to take a pill for. And so you learn to sit still, and the worst thing happens. You're more miserable than ever. You sit still, and your mind doesn't go still for a second. Your emotions are in upheaval because of all the thoughts that are going on, and your body doesn't want to sit still at all. What do you do about that? Well, this is where longing becomes really important. Because if you really want to find what we will call peace or well-being, power through, find the power inside yourself to sit there and watch or breathe through all of these mental, emotional, bodily disturbances. And what happens is this. You take a breath, you go into your heart, you really ask for help to let go, to surrender. And you sit there for 10 seconds. And at some point something happens, which is this thing goes, and you see a kind of stillness you haven't known before. Or maybe you did know when you were a child, or maybe you know in the middle of the night when you're sleeping. This quiet, or falling asleep at night, feels the same way. It's like, yes, yes, let me go into that place. And it happens right here, but you're awake. And then you let out a little bit of the air and you breathe into your belly and you feel the same thing, only it's deeper. It's really deeper, and you're awake again. And you're going, it's so still. It's so satisfying. It cradles you. It embraces you. It tells you you're fine. It's like the mother kissing your boo-boo. It just says, you're fine. Right now, you're fine. And this place is not something you have to go to college for. It's not something you have to work and work and work to get at. It's right here, right in the core of your being. All you have to do is take a breath. Yes, you have to work through the noise. Yes, you have to work through the emotion of it. Some days it will be easier than others. But you will taste this remarkable place inside you. It's not anywhere else. It never has been anywhere else. It's always been, if you will, contained within this body that you are. Except that when you sit deeply in your heart or in your belly, and you really let go, there is a sense of expansion. And this expansion doesn't respect the limits of your body. It just gets bigger. And the first reaction to that is always, wow. Wow. And then you can go, how's that happening? Why is that happening? I don't understand why that's going on. And then it's over. It's just over. Your mind gets in the way, and Rudy called the mind the slayer of the soul. Keep the mind quiet and just go there. And trust this thing that's going on inside you. And it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And your body becomes less and less and less a part of the equation. There's something vast, seemingly contained in your body, but it kind of obscures the role and nature of the body, the physicality of the body. It gives you a different picture. The mind doesn't know what to do with that picture because it doesn't make sense. But don't let it make sense, just go with it. And allow this to happen. It's the most wonderful, beautiful thing. And what you discover, all of your longing, all desire, both springs from there and returns to there. It is the source of desire. It is the end of desire. It's all you want. I cannot even begin to describe the depth of beauty and satisfaction and completeness and wholeness and fulfillment that exists right here. It's here. When you have a wonderful experience in the world, really you are giving this into the world, and the world is a reflection of that, and it just comes back into this space, and you get to be an internal and external manifestation of this absolute wondrous state of being. It's called, one of the names, presence. This phenomenal presence that's right inside you. And it's all you want. And more importantly, it is what you are. You are presence. So all we're doing in meditation is trying to introduce you to your own personal condition of being. And yes, you will go through some rough spots. Yes, the world is a very powerful, dynamic series of forces, and yes, penetrating that and going into stillness takes a kind of real hunger and commitment. Because most people sit down and go, okay, I tried, didn't work. It was horrible, I hated every minute of it. I wouldn't ever go back to that place again. I get that, I completely get that. Why would anybody want to come and sit in misery? Nobody wants to. But if you want to get somewhere in life, if you have longing, you have to power through the obstruction, the difficulty. The universe does not just deliver things. It makes you work for them. Why? Probably because the thing that's worked for is treasured when you get it. The thing that's given easily and lightly is not treasured. For example, presence. It's right there. If you just wanted it, it's yours. Boom, there it is. But most of us have to go through the drama of 40 years of sitting still before you finally go, oh, it's right there. You know, you come here hoping, I suspect, that I will help you find it. Or maybe that I will give it to you. It's a little bit like you're wearing this shirt and you're going, oh my God, I hope he'll give me this shirt. And I'm going, you're wearing it. It's yours. You've got it on. Oh, please, let me have this shirt. What are you talking about? You're wearing the stupid shirt. You've always been wearing the stupid shirt. Know that you've got it on. And you're going through this drama, and I'm looking at you like, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? You've got the thing you're looking for. You've always had it. But why you can't see through that, I don't know. Why couldn't I see through it for 40 years of sitting? I don't know. But I couldn't. And then one day, I went, oh, I'm wearing it. Oh, it's right here. It's never been anywhere else. It's your very essence. Your very essence is the thing you are seeking everywhere, but have always had. Will never not have, ever. Ever. That's the beauty of finding it. You know that it was always thus. You have never been absent from presence. You have always been gifted this remarkable thing, this body that you are, formed around it. The body will unform and go away. Presence will not go away. And once you discover presence, you walk around in this state of, we'll call it well-being. Is it always well-being? Well, let me put it this way. You're still going to get a lot of shit thrown at you. Life does that every day. But if you have a relationship to presence, you will find a way of taking all of the bombardment of daily activity and moving it through presence and feeling, I can do this. I can do this. Because I am not all that crap. I am this still point that watches and feels and knows that crap. And some days what comes at you is quite beautiful. And in fact, at some point you even discover that crap is beautiful. But this presence that you work at day after day after day ultimately arrives at a place where you go, oh, I'm wearing that shirt. It's always there, and you become, interestingly, not the owner of presence. Presence becomes all there is. And there is this little you in the middle of it, or somewhere in it, that walks around experiencing the world that you're in. And that experience is rich and rewarding beyond belief, and we have an enormous longing to experience. That's what we're built with. We want to experience love and hatred and depravity. We want to experience Roquefort cheese, name it. What do you want to experience? Everybody's got their thing. And most of us find the thing we like and we want to experience it over and over. Some people are true adventurers. They want to experience all there is to experience. We're all different in that regard. But the experience of life is something we really want. And one of the things we begin to want gets programmed in early, which is to make movies, to be a doctor, to make $1 billion. And that becomes a driving force, and it really gets built in. And we take all of this longing and we put it out into that world of stuff, and then either we get there or we don't. If you get there, you get the thing you're waiting to have, and then you wake up in the middle of the night and it's not satisfying. You're worried about paying for your kids to go to school, even though you've got $1 billion. Why? Because it doesn't take care of it. It doesn't. Does it mean you shouldn't go after it? No. What are you going to do here? You're here. Play the game. It's a wonderful place to be. This is the best video game of all time. Never have they given us more playtime, more experience, and the possibility of experience. This world is like amazing. And we're in it. We're in it. Don't waste your time here. Do two things. Love it and figure out what it is or who you are in it. Losing yourself in the world is a real problem. It's a real problem because you can get into trouble. You can get into big trouble when you're lost in the world. Just like getting lost in a video game. You know, in Korea now they have institutes for people who can't break out of their video games. You know, they can't stop playing. They're giving over their life to not eating, not sleeping, just playing the video game. I mean, this is going to become much more of a condition for people around the world. Most of us are like that. We are caught up in this video game of life, and we are totally in it. And what happens is you get angry at somebody, really get angry at somebody, and you yell at them, and you do whatever you're going to do. You hit them over the head with a frying pan. Well, and that person goes to the hospital. They come back and they're in trouble. And now they have head conditions, and now you got to take care of this person with head conditions, assuming you're related to whoever you hit with the frying pan. But that's called action and consequence. It's called karma. You do stupid things and it comes back. The person you hit over the head no longer wants to live with you, no longer wants to cook for you, make your bed, or whatever. And now you're a lonely person caught in the drama of your video game. And everything falls apart. And then you leave this world, the end of this world, and all of this drama surging around you, and they're trying to bring you back into stillness, peace, beauty, presence, truth, reality. And there you are, oh, but I got all this problem, I got that problem. If you want a definition of hell, that's hell. You are being brought back into the presence, finally, that you've always been, and there you are struggling against everything. That is no way to leave the world, trust me. It's the worst way to leave the world, and people do it all the time. And you then get, I believe, reborn to figure it out again, but you come in with all that stuff you left with. And you can see babies coming in and they're all struggling. And you see other babies come in and you know, they've dealt with this struggle. They're going to figure it out. Well, everyone in this room is a baby who's prepared to figure it out. Every one of you is here because something in you finally said, show me a way out. The way out, as Rudy would put it, is through. You don't just get out. You just find this place of presence and you expand beyond, you expand through life, through the dynamic of life, through your hungers, through your desires, through all of your stuff. You expand through it and you discover the source of everything is the very thing driving you. And you return to that source and you discover you have always had deep within you the source of your desire, the source of your longing. You find the thing that satisfies, truly satisfies. And you find that it was playing out the whole time. Andrew and I talk always about the three women in his life, his wonderful wife and 2 daughters. You know, they're the constant satisfaction. They're the constant. The dissatisfaction, the longing, is for that other thing way out there. And God knows I would love everyone in this room to have his hunger to find that. And I hope you all do. I hope you do. I mean, that's what I want. I want everyone to find it, but you're all going to come back, even having found it, and you're going to say, you know, Bruce, you were right. It was everything I'd ever hoped, but it didn't deliver. It didn't deliver the thing I was hoping it would deliver. I'm still struggling, I'm still fighting, the critics don't like me, the actress yelled at me, whatever the thing is that comes back from life always comes back. It always keeps going. There is no perfect moment. Or maybe there's a perfect moment, but it doesn't last long. If the next thing happens. You win your Oscar, and then you drop it on your big toe. You know, whatever it is, something always goes on, life continues. What I'm trying to get at, as deeply as I can, is you are the thing you are looking for. Enjoy your life, enjoy the search, but stop long enough to get into this place where it feels deeply satisfied. It does not stop you from functioning in the world. It feeds your work in the world. It gives you more to say. It gives you more to appreciate. It makes life so much richer. It doesn't make you someone who sits in a cave, although you can make that choice. It will be just as rewarding, perhaps, as being in the world, but it's not a requirement. You can do whatever you want to do. It's your game. It's your game. This is all created for you. Have a great time. And yes, it will present obstacle upon obstacle upon obstacle upon obstacle. And yes, you will not like certain things, but there will come a point where you go, thy will be done. And then something miraculous happens inside, and you just go, I accept this as it is. I accept life as it arises. And wow, that changes the game. That changes it. Because suddenly, not only are you in the game, but you are part of the creative process. You are working with the Creator to create the reality that it is trying to build in this universe. And that's an amazing place to be. You are one with the Creator. You are not separate from it. You are not at odds with it. You are not pushing your agenda. You are accepting the agenda. And when you accept that, life becomes mysterious. You don't know where it's going. You don't know why you're on this particular ride, but you don't care. You just go, okay. I mean, your heart may be pounding. You may be terrified on some level. The little you doesn't understand very much. It's okay. And you'll accept that it's okay. You will accept that you're anxiety-ridden. You will accept the fact that you feel completely lost in time and space. It doesn't matter, because time and space are changing and you are not. You are right here now, where you have always been, where you will always be. And this you that's here, I will repeat it again, if you sit quietly, begins to express its fullness. And it is big. It is big beyond understanding. When it starts to expand beyond the body, it goes beyond star systems and planetary systems and galaxies. It goes beyond the universe as you know it. It goes beyond every concept you have of life, death, birth, and God. It just keeps going on, and you are that. You can't name it because there's nobody to name it. All you can do is be it, and you don't have to try because you are it. You are it. Again, if I could give it to you, every one of you, I would do it right this second. In the same way that I would tell you, you're wearing that shirt. You are it. Why I can't do that, I don't understand. But it has something to do with the fact that you're not totally committed to knowing it. You kind of want it. You sort of want it. You kind of don't even believe that I'm telling the truth. You know, it's like, oh yeah, that's Bruce's thing. But it's not Bruce's thing. It's our thing. And the only way you can get to what I'm talking about is to long for it. And true longing is to long for what you are. True longing is to wake up to who you are. And if it expresses itself in dynamic human terms, go for it. Go for it. But don't lose sight of the fact that that longing is in your belly button. It expresses all the truth of you. It is the most beautiful part of you. You want to know this, and you don't want it to be you and it, because it's not divided. It's not separate from you. It is you at the core of your being. This is the ride we're on, and God knows I want each of you to figure it out. And you're close to it because you're here, because you're willing to hear these words, because you're willing to expose yourself to this idea. You know, a lot of people in the middle of the game, shooting and killing and doing all the things they're doing, they don't have any room at all to hear this message. For some reason, you're hearing it, you're here. Listen deeply, sit deeply. It may take you 40 years. It took me 40 years. Some of us don't have 40 years, so you got to go fast. Just do it now. You can do it. You don't have to wait 40 years. Just do it now. There's nothing to do even. It's just go, okay. Or even Nisargadatta said all he did was trusted that he was the thing his teacher said. He said, you are infinite truth. Be it. Just be it. Walk around being it. You are all there is. Trust me. Love you guys. Any questions?
Yeah, I have one. Earlier you said, you were talking about alchemy, and that we are essentially all alchemists, which I thought was a very beautiful and kind of brilliant insight to that.
It's Rudy's.
And it made me think of Mandela, and I was wondering if you had any thoughts about his life or passing in that regard.
Well, I mean, I kind of hate the news and the way the news creates icons and heroes, you know, and tells the story in ways that are not completely true. But I don't know Mandela other than what I read in the papers. And yes, I mean, this guy is an embodiment of a way we can live. You know, he was forgiving of his jailers, which was wonderful. You know, this Mahatma Gandhi idea, the idea of nonviolence in pursuit of something that you want desperately. They're wonderful teachings. They're all wonderful teachings. And, you know, the people who eulogize him are at the head of the war machine. You know, it's like, it's so easy in the world culture to celebrate something without really loving it or without living it. And he appeared to be an embodiment of this very noble self. But there's something bigger than that. It's not, changing the world is much easier than changing yourself. And the thing to really celebrate in Mandela, I assume, is this internal change that came upon him in prison. Really, really powerful force. And suffering does that. Suffering can change us. It's a great TV show on right now. I mean, it's actually over, I think, but it's been going on for a while, called Moment of Death, and probably there's not one person in this room or anywhere who's watching it, except me. Okay. If you want to watch an amazing show, a reality show, it's a show about people dying and what happens when you die and what it looks like. And they actually show somebody dying, at least so far I've only watched 2 episodes, but the second episode tells the story of an old woman who's got it down, who's lived the life. She went through a real tragedy that shattered her family, and then she processed it. She processed it. And that's what it takes. And she came back deeply whole and present and healed her entire family who didn't know how to heal themselves. It's so beautiful. It's so overwhelming. It's the kind of life story that's never celebrated. We don't see stories like that at all. And this is a simple journey. You know, her last words were, "It was terrific. It was terrific." And that's how I want to go too. It was terrific. It is terrific. She knew that. And the people around her, because she had so much love in her, she was so present, were all completely healed by her presence. That's what each one of us can do. You don't have to really talk about this stuff. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is be it. Be present, and you will change everything around you. You may not know how it gets changed, but you'll have impact. Your presence, your saying yes to things, your openness, your availability, your honesty, your truth about your own suffering, your willingness to go into the suffering rather than run from it with, drugs and alcohol and whatever else. Be your life. Be your life. And then it awakens this thing in you that you can only get to through the courage to experience whatever is in front of you. And then this thing manifests, and there you are. You're just present. And this presence is a gift. It's a gift. It's a big gift to you, but it's a big gift to everyone around you. It's worth working. And if you can catch that show on TV, I would recommend it. Anyone else? Okay. I'll be here the next 2 Sundays, and then we're off to Seattle. And I'll try to get back as often as I can, but there's a wonderful group of teachers here who keep teaching and teaching and teaching. And so, it's a little bit like Rudy said, the teacher is a water fountain, a drinking fountain. And I always think of it as a drinking fountain in some obscure place in the airport. If you're hungry, people seek you out. Or if you're thirsty, you'll go there and you'll drink. You're not sitting there as a drinking fountain saying, "Oh, why don't they come? Why doesn't come and take advantage of my water?" You don't do that. You're just the drinking fountain. That's all any of us are. Anyone who sits here is a fountain. If you're thirsty, you'll come. If you're not thirsty, you won't come. And, you know, try to watch inside, because most of us are more thirsty than you realize.
About the drinking fountain thing, there are 2 drinking fountains that people should be aware of besides here, and that's Jackie's on Wednesday and Deborah Gangale's on Saturday.
Right. Yeah. There are other classes, and you know these thank you, and many classes in the East Coast. You know, there are a lot of people teaching this now, and there are places to go, and these talks even are on YouTube, so they're really accessible. You know, people, there's a lot of ways to get this if you want it, and a lot of teachers outside of our system who are really remarkable. You know, remarkable. Eckhart, I mean, everybody knows Eckhart Tolle, who's incredible, and Adyashanti are 2, and it goes on and on and on and on. There are so many great teachers. If you want this stuff, it's available. The internet is an incredible resource, and people can just go and find what they're looking for. You know, one drinking fountain is not necessarily better than another. It might be better located, but it's not. It's the same stuff that comes through. Okay. Thank you, guys.